Good morning and welcome back to the garden. Today is Sunday, September 19th. It's been about a week since we cut our slips and put them in water. Most of them have started to root really well. But today's our fun day. Riley gets to pick out what kind of containers we're going to put our slips in. The fun part of step 2 is you get to pick out which kind of container you want. You can use a terracotta pot. Those always work really nice. You can get really decorative, or you can just go with a coffee can. We're going to take a look at potting up our slips for our apartment garden.
Our Thai basil has started to root. The sweet basil, right there at the nodes, looks like it's trying, but it hasn't started to root yet. Now with our sweet potato, there's quite a few of them in this glass. I've had to fill with water every day, so that water level has dropped. It drops pretty quickly as it forms roots. But you want to watch out for that. And Carla is rooting really nicely.
And right here, this is a great example of what a container pepper can produce. This plant isn't very big, and it already has a half a dozen peppers on it, and some more started and some more flowers. This plant will thrive just inside the window. I'm going to set this one aside, and we're going to go ahead and pot up some of these that have already started to root. Now I think for this tomato, we're going to take the biggest slip we have. It's already started to root nicely. And remember, this is a vine, and it's going to continue to root no matter how deep you plant it. And I want to give it a pretty good go. Just make a little hole. I'm going to plant it down to the first leaf, I believe. And then just backfill, a little soil. Firm that down. And our soil out of the garden. And yes, you're going to make a mess. Gonna get your hands dirty. If you're doing this with kids, you might want to put some newspaper down. If you're doing it with me, you might want to put some newspaper down. My wife will come out and tell me I made a mess. Alright, and if you can see right here, Carla's already got a sucker coming on. As this roots in, we'll be able to clip that off and root that one also. I want to try to save as many of these as I can. I sure did like those tomatoes. No matter which container you pick, make sure you have holes in the bottom for drainage. Go ahead and water them in pretty good. Now we're still warm enough, I'm going to go ahead and leave this outside. I also have another container that's deep enough. Open up the center a little bit. And that's within just a week. Look how nice those roots are. Just gently put that soil back in around. Just give them a nice little drink. Okay, for the basil, this Thai basil, look how nice that's rooted. So let's go ahead and put that in the container. This entire stem will root also, so we're going to take that kind of deep. We'll bury that up to that first node, snug that in. Get a little more of our compost, get a little more of our soil. Go ahead and fill that up quite a little bit. Now when we originally took this slip off, this flower hadn't started. So we need to prune this back. And the way we want to do this is where it splits, this way these are going to bush on out. So we're going to come right down there and just pinch that out. just come down there and you pinch that out. And that way, it's got a fork here, got a fork down there, and this should bush on out. Now if you lose some of these leaves during this process, don't worry about it. It's putting quite a little bit of energy into making more roots. There's another Thai basil that'll be beautiful on your windowsill. Think about using a container like this with that edge rolled over. It's not something you're going to easily be able to transplant out of, so we're not going to use that. We're going to want to transplant everything that we've just planted into a little bigger container before it turns into winter. Look how nicely that is rooted. We are going to want to put that in a bigger container before we bring it inside. But since it produces the potatoes off of the roots, off of the slips, we'll let this go ahead and get root bound inside of this coffee can. Coffee can's a real good container to start sweet potatoes in. Now if you lose all your leaves to begin with, do not worry about it. They'll come back. I think you've seen that in the garden. Now remember, if you're going to use a container like this, make sure you have holes in the bottom for drainage. As with all of these, we're going to go ahead and plant them deep. And see these leaves coming off? That's not a big deal. We can actually just pinch that off.
Now at this point, we just let them grow. We're going to wait at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, before we transplant them into their final winter containers.
So what we have here is 4 sweet potatoes, 3 heirloom tomatoes, and a Thai basil. But that's really all you have to do to create an apartment winter garden. The fun part is find a container that you like, and like I say, we're going to go ahead and let these roots develop. About 2 or 3 weeks, we'll go ahead and transplant into the final winter container, and then just set them next to your window. You'll have a good healthy plant all winter long. Cool thing about sweet potatoes, you can eat the leaves. I'm not going to do it right now because we want them to grow. And come spring, with any luck, you'll already have potatoes growing. So I hope you join me on this project. You got a couple people in mind you want to set up for their winter garden? Now if you're setting somebody up for a winter garden, please let us know. We'd sure like to see. So remember, until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you.
Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.